Hello, Scoobians. How you all doing? I hope you're doing fantastically fabulous, and at some point I will edit all these videos, and I will put them up, and you will watch them, and you will be happy, and you will be excited, and you will be ecstatic, and just everything's a mess right now. Let's light some candles. I don't know if you can see the fact that there are candles that were just lit. You're like, when is this recorded? This is recorded when I want it to be recorded, okay? Just accept that. Just accept that this is the new reality of the witchy show. We're going to make an oil, and to make this oil, I have this, but I also need the actual oil to pour into here. So give a girl a minute, okay? If you want to participate, you need this exact, no, I'm just kidding, I'm joking. Use whatever oil you want. Could you imagine if I just started telling people how to do their craft? I have topics to talk about, so I need my book. We're gonna talk about this one. So there's this conversation that happened at some point on the internet by a certain individual. I'm not even gonna waste our time mentioning who they are because they're fraudulent and fake. But the point is that this particular individual was having issues with their craft. You know those times where you feel like you're just not connected to anything? Like, maybe you're going through a period in your life where there's lots of depression and pain and misery. We're putting in some bone set. You're like, what are we making? We're making something. You're like, can we make the something? I mean, you can do whatever you want, but we're having a conversation as opposed to me teaching you what this is. Anyways, so there's gonna be times in your life where somebody dies and you're miserable and you're sad and you're pathetic and just all of this other stuff, right? And then there's gonna be times in your life where you're gonna go through something like a divorce or a breakup or just something where your whole world feels like it's falling apart and you feel miserable and sad and pathetic, and maybe that's called 2020. I don't know. That's up to you to decide. However, it's now 2021, so maybe this year will be better. You're like, what year is it at the time of this recording? It's a year, and it's before an election, so yeah. We're doing that. We're pre-recording. Just accept it. Christ's sakes, people. So fucking picky all the time. Anywho, so where I'm going with this is that sometimes you're going to run into situations where you just feel like you're not even a witch. Or maybe you've lost your connection with your deity. Or maybe your deity left. Or maybe you just feel like you can't raise energy. There is a difference between being a witch and witchcraft. They are not one and the same, ironically enough as it is. Witchcraft is the practice of being who you are at your core. You never lose being a witch. You never stop being a witch. It's who you are fundamentally at your core. It's your identity. You are a witch. Being a witch shapes who you are. It shapes your actions, the way you deal with things, the way you connect with things. It's who you are. And you can't ever stop being a witch. That's like being a Christian, right? Like if you're born a Christian, you're born into like a Christian family or you convert over to Christianity, right? Like you never really stop being a Christian. You may stop the practice of being a Christian, but you don't really stop being a Christian unless you just no longer fundamentally believe in the concepts of Christianity and what Christianity is. So with that in mind, you never stop being a witch. Even if you take a 10-year break from the craft, that doesn't mean you're not a witch. You inherently know how to reconnect with the most basic and fundamental of things, like the elements, right? We, and I put this in quotes, real, I put that in quotes, witches are people who, we know the fundamentals, we know the basics, and there's a lot of people out there who know the basics, but I have a feeling they know just enough to fool people into thinking that they're a witch, into thinking that they practice the craft, into thinking that, you know, that they've been doing this for a really long time. I think there is definitely people out there that do that. I can name a few of those people if you would like, one specifically. But anyways, where I'm going with this is that when people say, oh, and it took me a long time to figure this out because I went through this and I went through it very publicly, and some people are just trying to copy me and get the sympathy vote. It's not gonna work, sweetie cheeks. Not gonna work. Anyways, it's just that it took me a long time to figure out that I can never stop being a witch, because it is who I am at the core of my being. It is who I am fundamentally. It courses through my blood and through my veins, and it shapes my reality, and it helps me to shape my own reality by creating the things that I want. You're like, what is this oil going to be used for? I'll give you a hint as to when this video was made, okay? It was made during a very rare blue moon to be used in a very specific ritual that's coming up next, okay? But anyways, so I'm confused. I get so confused when people come onto YouTube and they're like, oh, I really want that connection back. I really want the connection with my spirits, with my deity, with whoever, right? Like, I want to feel like a witch again. I want to get back into my practice. And those are the people where I sit there and I'm like, you shouldn't be wanting things that you should already have. It's more of a willpower thing. It's more of a, maybe you're going through something at the moment and the craft is not a particular outlet or space for you at this moment in time, right? There are times where the craft can't help you, and those times are during crises of mental health issues. And it's very evident that in some cases, mental health is affecting people on a very bad level, and those people need to seek out professional medical help to get, I don't know, maybe they need medication or maybe they need a therapist or whatever. But I don't think that you ever lose the craft. I don't think a true, and again, I put that in quotes too, which ever really loses the connection they had in any form. Yes, you can lose a connection with your deity, and yes, with the spirits, but with the earth, with the elements, with the changing of the seasons, our roots go deep into the earth. So even in times where you feel like, I have no connection to anything, and I just want to give up, and I can't practice because I don't have a connection to anything. You have a connection to yourself. You have to find that connection again. But you always have a connection to the earth and to the elements. And even if you can't manifest your own energies, you can always manifest them to the elements. Right? But again, I say true and real witches because there are some out there who, you know, there are some people out there who use the term witch, Wicca, as this fantasy as this way to rebel, as this way to be different, as this way. And I mean, if you're sitting there and you're watching this and you're deeply offended by it and you're slamming the dislike button and you're screaming at your screen and you're like madly typing in the comment section, then I guess the shoe fits, right? The shoe must fit in this particular instance, doesn't it? And there are some people out there who just want to belong. They just want a community to belong in, but then they social climb off of people, or they wreck the community. And they get called out and they run away and then they come back and they try and hide. And it's like, no, I'm the all-seeing eye. I'm the queen. And I don't make it my mission to point out fraudulent behavior. It's fun. It is. But I also don't come on here to spread misinformation and attempt to blame all of my problems on other people or on society or on what's going on in the world at this particular time. I come on here to show you authenticity. And I think that in some parts of the internet, that authenticity is missing. And I'd really like to get it back in this community. I really would. You're like, what is this oil for? This oil is going to be used for many things. Many things, my children. Many things. Stick around. Stick around, my children.